once Father Dedza announced that we'd have the congregation, well, things fell into place. And things quieted down, and then we just simply began to prepare for that congregation. When September of 1983 came along, the opening day, we began the congregation right at the beginning of September. And I think, as I've mentioned, John Paul II came to our Jesuit Curia and concelebrated a Mass with us to begin the congregation. Well, this was unheard of. This was a great gesture. And it was a wonderful Mass. Father Arrupe was there in a wheelchair, and the Holy Father paid him special homage, and he gave a very fine homily. And then we realized we were free to run that congregation according to our normal procedures. We had been concerned whether we would be allowed to run our own congregation. Would the Pope insist that he would have a cardinal who would preside, or maybe a general from another order? No, we were free to run according to our own normal way of proceeding. Well, that was a great, a freeing decision, and then that really freed us from a lot of concerns and opened the way to the congregation. And as I've said, with the congregation, on September the 13th, the congregation had begun the first days of September. We did things you had to do, elect so-and-so. And then we turned to electing a general. And we had, I explained that, I think, the idea of the date and the 4 preceding days. And at the election date, September the 13th, it was the most peaceful, serene moment we had. In one ballot, after about 40 minutes, in all serenity and calmness, we elected Peter Hans Kolvenbach as the Superior General of the Society of Jesus. So that was a signal. That was the end of an era, the end of the Arrupe, and the beginning of a new one. But it was really a liberating moment. We had arrived at following a normal way of proceeding. We'd been allowed to do it the way we felt we should do it according to our Jesuit way of proceeding, and we were off and running. And what we found out too was that once Peter Hans Kolvenbach was elected, he had an early meeting with Pope John Paul II. And the general described that meeting to us afterwards. He said, "Oh, it went very well. When I got there, the Pope said to me, Father General, I understand you like to walk." He said, yeah, I like to walk. So they walked up and down the Pope's library while they decided things. And they had a meeting of minds so that we could say, right at that moment, that normal communications were reestablished between the Holy See and the Society of Jesus, between John Paul II, the Pope, and Peter Hans Kolvenbach, the Jesuit General. So that was a very significant moment. So as of that time, we could proceed and go along now and do our normal thing, go after our normal apostolates, and forget all about this dissension. So it was a great moment.